Hi there, everybody. I'm Fred Thomas, and you are watching All Things Bike, brought to you by Frame and Wheel and AD Bikes. And today we are speaking with Carole Brush, the Executive Director of the Eastern Trail Alliance. Carole.
Hi, Fred.
Thank you for being on the show.
Thank you for asking.
Yeah, at any time. The trails in Portland and southern Maine, they seem to be multiplying. There seem to be more and more miles of trails for people to ride on. But the Eastern Trail has been around probably the longest. Give us a background. What's the history?
Well, the history of it was started by a very energetic founder, John Andrews, who had a vision of creating an off-road bicycle and pedestrian greenway. He came to Maine, was here for several years, and finally just said, I've got the time now, I'm retired, I'm going to build a trail. So back in 1997, he and a few other trail advocates said, all right, there's an abandoned Eastern Railroad corridor that's straight, it's flat, let's start there. And it goes from South Portland down through the Berwicks, let's take it to Kittery. And in Kittery, meet up with the East Coast Greenway, which is a 2,900-mile trail with the same vision going from Key West to Calais.
Wow, right.
So,
and this was in 1997, I mean, where is it now? I mean, I know there's that section that crosses the marsh, and then there's it becomes road, and it gets down to Biddeford, Kittery. How long is that? What's the size?
The Eastern Trail itself is 65 miles from Bug Light in South Portland down to Kittery, right down to the river.
Right. So that's the
southern. So that's the full 65 miles of it, and it's the southernmost section in Maine of the East Coast Greenway. The off-road sections are 22 miles, so we're about a third of the way there, a little bit more than a third of the way there.
And is the vision to have it all off-road at some point?
Yep, it definitely is. It definitely is.
Well, and how does that work? I mean, you approach a municipality and say, we would like to claim this section and use it for trails. And I mean, there's some negotiation with the cities, and then there's some legal aspects to it and politics. And give us a sense for how that works. There
are. Well, going back to the beginning when it was founded, John and his fellow trail supporters, by 1999 incorporated and realized that they would need the assistance of the municipalities up and down the trail. So there's 12 municipalities from Kittery to South Portland. They met with them, presented to the council, and got them all to support the concept of it, and formed another organization called the Eastern Trail Management District. So there's an ongoing interrelationship with the Eastern Trail Alliance and the Management District, where they've already agreed to construct the trail. So from that point on, what we do when there is a trail section ready to be constructed is negotiate easements with the utility company that owns the corridor, apply for funding, for federal and state funding, municipalities chip in for it, as well as individuals and corporations at this point.
Right. So it's really a public and private sector.
It certainly is
effort
at this point. Yeah.
And then how about the maintenance? I mean, how is that taken care of? I mean, do volunteers go out and plow it, or shovel, or trim? How does it work?
Actually, the municipalities take care of all of the maintenance of it. We have many people who are interested in doing trail maintenance, but since it's in a gas corridor line, and it's owned really by the utility company, we work with the utility company on the maintenance. The municipalities take care of it. However, many times it's the trail users who are the first to spot something out of routine. So if it were not for them, we wouldn't know that there was a tree down in Scarborough, or
Yeah, I think I've encountered that maybe once or twice, but it's never there for long. Well, who are the users? I mean, I use it. I'm on my bike. I use the from Pleasant Hill through the marsh over to, what is that, Route 9, I think, most frequently.
Up to Pine Point Road.
So I can avoid Route 1. And for the longest time, I didn't realize. I thought that was the Eastern Trail, just across the marsh, but now it goes all the way down to Kittery. And but who are the people who are using it? There's clearly cyclists and walkers, but can you describe the other?
It's really a trail that belongs to everybody. It's a straight railroad corridor, which makes it nice and accessible. Yeah. So you'll find on any given day, you'll find a marathon runner and a beginning runner. You'll find families with children. You'll find school groups using it for track practice or for programs.
Right.
Birders use it.
Yeah, I've seen a lot
You'll
of...
find your through cyclists that go all the way from Calais to Key West.
Oh, yeah, the journey, the
journey,
voyagers.
Yep,
Yeah.
and anywhere in between, as well as, you know, your beginning cyclists.
And horses or not?
Yeah, horses, but not using it all that much.
Yeah, I've
Horses
never
are
seen one.
permitted.
Yeah, but they're
We
allowed,
have an
I suppose.
agreement. They are.
Yeah, yeah.
And we have an agreement with an equestrian group that, you know, helps self-manage.
Right, right. And
that.
in the wintertime, it would be nice for cross-country skiing, I imagine. Is that permitted too, cross-country skiing?
Definitely, definitely. We do not groom it, and again, because it's on a gas line.
Uh-huh.
So, but there are trail users that are out there cutting tracks in the snow when we've got really good snow,
Right,
and
right.
making some tracks. And snowshoers use it and are usually considerate enough to stay outside of the cross-country track. So it's an all-season trail.
And what are the rules, both written and unwritten, if any? I mean, can we use it at night, for example, or?
You can use it at night. We encourage people to wear bright clothing, to have a light on their bike or on their person. If you use it at night, it's not it's
Yeah, I mean,
not a gated access trail.
that's right. But,
and to be respectful of others. We ask cyclists to pass on the right and to announce that they're passing.
well, that rule, I guess, that's great.
That's a universal, I think.
Yeah, no, it's easy. Sometimes you can get going pretty quickly on there. I've noticed that there are some sort of Strava segments on there, and you know, people want to be the fastest person from the marsh to the 207. But I think those guys are out there pretty early in the morning when there's no one else. But that's good to know. But what about the terrain? I know that the marsh is pretty flat, but when we get beyond that, can you describe
It's
the
still
terrain?
fairly flat. There's you know, I wouldn't even, well, I lived in Colorado for a long time, so it's hard for me to say that it's very hilly here.
Right.
So, but even relatively speaking, there's, you know, maybe a gentle rise here and there, but it's not.
Okay. Yeah. No. So that and there's the bridge, or a couple bridges that are in place.
There's several bridges in place and several bridges to come.
Well,
yeah.
that's important.
So
we want to talk about that in greater detail. This is the Close the Gap campaign that you're running. It involves a bridge and closing it, making two ends meet, I suppose. So tell us about that. It's important.
Yes, it's an extremely interesting project. It is closing currently. There's a 6-mile section in Portland that starts at Bug Light and ends at Wainwright Field.
Right, in South Portland.
In
right.
South Portland.
Yep.
And there's another section in Scarborough, which many people don't know of, that literally starts at the Nonsuch River and takes you to Eastern Road and then to Black Point Road.
I see.
And then from there you would go through the marsh and now down into Saco.
Right, yeah.
In between those two sections, there's a 1.6-mile gap that goes over the Nonsuch River and over active rail lines. So, well, for many years, we've been seeking the funding for it. In the past year or so, the towns of Scarborough and South Portland have been very successful working with the Maine Department of Transportation, Portland Area Comprehensive Transportation System, better known as PACTS for that reason.
Right.
And they've been extremely supportive in providing a significant amount of funding towards it. So it's a $3.8 million project between those entities, large corporations, credit unions. The Eastern Trail has provided a $50,000 match, and individuals have stepped up to the plate and really provided. We only have $600,000 to raise. So that's well, when you're starting looking for over $1 million to raise, it's, you know,
you're almost
cut it in
there.
half in that. But that will then connect 3 sections of trail and take you from Bug Light all the way to downtown Saco. So you'll have over 16 miles.
Right. And so, I'm just trying to picture. I mean, I've seen the images, but it's basically you need a bridge, 2 bridges, one over the rails, the train tracks that are still active there, and then there's an old section. There's some old stone formations around the Nonsuch River, where there used to be a bridge or something.
Yes, that used to be the rail bridge, I believe.
Oh yeah, right. So you just need to get these two
We
bridges.
need to bridge those gaps, literally.
And then fill in the rest of the 2 points, and then so that means that you'd be able to hop on your bike at bug light and ride all the way down to Saco without using a road. You would be able to.
Correct. You'd be on the Eastern Trail. You have to cross your roads, obviously.
Right. Yeah.
And then from there, our next gap would be from another river between Saco and Biddeford.
Right.
So that's another couple of mile gap to fill in.
Good. Well, yeah, and so you're almost there. Are there any more events that you have planned that might sort of raise awareness about this campaign? I mean, I know you have the Maine Lighthouse Ride.
Yes. Yeah.
Will that event help you sort of meet your goal, or do you have
that
other plans
event
for
definitely will help us to meet our goal, but there's several events that we hope to do before that. They will also, if not, it will raise the awareness, and the more people who are aware of the campaign for it, the more it will use. So some of these events will be no fee-based events, but really more
it's
public awareness is.
Once people realize the convenience of being able to ride from South Portland and basically Portland too, because you can pick up the Casco Bay Bridge pretty easily. That opens up the whole thing to commuters and people who are in Portland. Tell us about the Maine Lighthouse Ride. I see those guys riding, on that first Saturday after Labor Day. Describe that event for us.
Well, this is our 14th year of it, so it's grown from probably 10 to 20 people at the beginning to over 12. Well, we cap it at 1,200 now for the past 5 years. So, and it sells out well in advance of its September 1st deadline this year. So far, we have 125 of the 1,200 registered.
Right.
There's a large group of 65 coming from the Midwest. On
Iowa.
top of that,
Yeah. Well, that's fantastic, and it's 100 miles, it's 60 miles, and then 40
and 25. Yep.
And you visit every lighthouse in the region. Is that?
It depending on the route, you can see 1 to 9 lighthouses. So the furthest one down would be down in Kennebunkport.
Right.
So even your 25 milers will see a couple of lighthouses.
Right. Well, that's great.
Starting off.
And then you have the full moon rides, which is, or are they walks?
They're walks. The full moon walks they're done monthly right now in Biddeford. We hope to add a Scarborough one as well.
Mm-hmm.
The next one is actually this Thursday night at 6 o'clock. And they're very popular.
Really?
When the weather's good, they're very popular.
Yeah. Well, that's
we've had 2 people up to 40 people on them.
Really?
We also have some other events to promote the trail and to just promote using of the trail.
Yeah.
It's called a Loop and Lunch Ride that's offered in the spring, summer, and fall, where the ride leader picks a destination. We go out for 25, 30 miles total round trip and stop for lunch midway.
Yeah.
This year we're hoping to offer some fat tire rides.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah. That's great. And other organizations use the trail for their own events. I mean, there's a triathlon that uses part of it?
There is. The Rev 3 Triathlon. It's now in its 3rd or 4th year, I believe, uses the Old Orchard and Scarborough sections of the trail. Juvenile Diabetes has already signed up for this year.
Right.
About a dozen organizations use it for their fundraising events.
That's great.
And we also offer, in addition, we offer nature walks, fitness walks. I know Audubon uses it for birding.
Yeah, I mean, in the morning, early morning, I'm on that trail and I see this white, tall or long-legged white bird with a long beak, sort of standing in the marsh. And there's always a guy with a camera or binocular somewhere nearby. And it's a very peaceful spot, I have to say. Now, do you have a favorite section of the trail, a personal favorite?
I would probably have to say the Scarborough Marsh too. And some of that is because I live right down the block from it. So it's the most frequently used section by me. And when I came to Maine, I worked with the Maine Audubon Society leading canoe tours right in that section. So I'm most familiar with it.
Wonderful. And are there any notable stories that sort of sum up the trail that you can think of that you think would help people who don't know much about it and sort of characterize it in some way?
That's a good question.
No, well, I mean, for me, it's the story is just seeing the sunrise and the peacefulness of it and the absence of cars.
I think it's that, and I also think it's the diversity of it. You find families out there with toddlers, you find octogenarians and more out there. So I think it's seeing the diversity of the people and the resources that are using it, and everyone is out there just for the peace and quiet of it, as you said.
And a lot of people say hello.
They do.
Yeah.
They do.
Which is great. Wonderful, Carole. Well, good luck with the Close the Gap campaign. I'm certain that you will, in fact, close the gap because it's a great resource, and more people, I think, are using it, and the awareness is growing, and it's a great resource. So thanks so much for coming on and talking about it.
Thank you again. I hope to see you at the Lighthouse Ride.
Yeah, you will. I'll be there. I put it on my list.
Okay.
It's the end of it's September. I'm pretty tired, but I'm running out of excuses on that. So thanks so much for the invite.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thanks very much, everybody. That was Carole Brush of the Eastern Trail Organization. Eastern Trail Alliance. You can learn more about the organization on the website easterntrails.org. Google that and you will learn about the Close the Gap campaign and all the rides that they do. That's all we have time for now. We will see you again next time.